Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
That's right. We are back for another episode of the Changing Stage radio show, powered by WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in Internet Talk Radio, and brought to you by Pitbull Audio and SIR. So we are here with just an amazing man, been an inspiration for me in my musical career, in my technological career, just all over. A good friend. I'd like to welcome Mr. Michael Lehmann Boddicker. Michael, you there?
Good morning, Tino.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing great, man. We're going to catch up on the air, on the radio, man. This is going to be a fun time here, sir. Well, if you haven't heard the name, you've heard amazing work by this gentleman. He's worked with pretty much everybody. Has been Quincy Jones' right-hand man for doing keyboard and synthesizer work. You might have heard one of his synthesizers because he owns one of the most prolific music equipment companies with SRS, which basically has all these wonderful pieces of gear that make all these amazing sounds. And then he's also done a lot of work in the movie and television business with his post-production studio Soul 7. So, Michael, you've had this tremendous career, Grammys, Academy Awards. You've done it all, man. Let's start from the beginning. How did you get into this?
Oh, I was born into it, Tino. I had no choice, and I have no choice today. It's what makes me happy, and it's in my blood. So I started playing music when I was 2 years old. Grew up in a music store, and had a lot of different instruments available to try out when I was a kid. And started playing accordion, trumpet, and guitar. Saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and at that moment, I knew that was it. And I started playing piano and organ at about 11 years old, and studying composition and orchestration at 12. And
Wow.
Eventually went on into contemporary songwriting studies, poetry studies in college at the undergrad and graduate level, and came out and kept trying. I kept reading on the back of album covers that everything was made in Hollywood, California, and I'd come out for about 2 weeks every year. Starting in my junior year of high school, I'd come out for 2 weeks every year, and I'd audition for a bunch of people, and they go, "No, you're too young," and send me back, and I'd come out and sleep on somebody's sofa. And after about 5 years of doing that, finally I sold 3 songs to Bill Cosby, of all people.
Okay.
And then we and worked on 3 albums in the first week I was out here.
Wow.
Then I moved out to Los Angeles and literally starved. I mean, soda crackers and milk with sugar for dinner, kind of starved for about 5 months. And then kept auditioning and kept going up and down the steps of the music buildings. At that time, the music business was almost completely localized to Sunset and Vine.
Yeah.
And there were 4 or 5 buildings there, and you could go up and down and hit all the record companies and all the publishing companies. And I had 1 demo cassette. And I would sit there in their office until they realized I wasn't going away, and get people to listen. And these people, the publishers and the people that were fielding calls at the front desks, eventually became producers and songwriters, and hired me to work on their demos, publishing demos, and then on records and films. And after, in this business at that time, you had to have a gold record play on a gold record. It was a catch-22. And, so I wrote a whole bunch of songs with a bunch of people, and eventually, certain things hit. Almost the same time that I had my songwriting partner, Rob Royer, who started the band Bread, we had a number one with Lost Without Your Love that I played synth on. And about that same time, Quincy Jones, I heard that, and the Brothers Johnson hit. And now I've got 3 gold records, and there's no looking back.
Wow.
So that was about mid-1970s, about 75, 76.
Now see, and I want to kind of stop you a second, because you were probably auditioning mainly on piano, because there really wasn't a whole lot of synthesizers.
Oh, no. There were synthesizers. In fact...
Oh, really? Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up, because I got to tell you, my first professional gig in Los Angeles, where I was really with a TV star who had a TV series, a variety show, and we played for 50,000 people in Indiana at noon, and we played for 50,000 people in Ohio at 7:00 at night. That first gig was my first piano playing gig. In fact, what I did to get that gig, I was an organist and a synthesist before then. I played jazz B3, and I had a synthesizer, an ARP 2600 and an ARP soloist that I used on my gigs, and everybody was like, wow, the things you can do. But then I got a call to audition, and I got tapes of these guys playing live, and I learned all the parts. And to do it, I had to go out and rent a grand piano from Hollywood Piano Company, and it was like $25 a month, which was a real stretch for me back then. And I woodshedded for 3 days. I wrote out every note that the piano player played, and I learned it. I walked in the door, and the artist said, "Hey, look at the auditions are done. This guy knows all the songs." And everybody in the band was like, no, this is a kid. He's 21 years old. Let's keep working. Let's find somebody else. And he was like, no, why would I keep looking? He knows all the material just the way I like it. So he's hired. And that introduced me, because I was on his show, which the show, the music director for the show was Mike Post, who I don't know if you know, but Mike Post is huge. He's written, I think, more TV themes than just about anybody else. Huge records, Rockford Files. A tremendous powerhouse. And at that time, it was Pete Carpenter and Mike Post. And Pete Carpenter was just a giant composer, orchestrator. And I worked on all their TV shows, got introduced to the people who did the TV shows, met all the studio musicians, sat over the shoulder of Larry Mahobarak, Mike Lang, Ralph Grierson,
Amazing.
Oh, on and on and on. I mean, I could tell you about six more great piano players that I got to sit and look and see how it was done in the studio, and they mentored me. They took me by the collar and said, "Hey, look it, you're a union musician, and when you work in the union, you don't undercut and you don't overcharge." The bottom line is, if you're going to get this gig, you get it because of your talent, not because you're cheaper. And same way with my musical instruments. At that time, the instruments, you happen to mention that I have a rental company as well, which I didn't start for, maybe 11, 12 years after I was already working in the studios. But
that was all your personal. Those were all your personal instruments, right?
Well, yeah, I started it with because I had 2 sets of equipment, because in those days sessions were almost all three hours long, or if I did a film, it'd be 3 hours with an hour break and another 3 hours, possibly an hour hold, and then you'd have a break and then go to another session at night. And some of my sessions, because they were record sessions, you'd do 6 hours starting at 7:00 at night after you'd been working on TV shows or films all day. And I had to have multiple sets of equipment. So I had one set up that would be there for the first 6 hours, and then I'd have a second setup that would be at the next gig, and that way I could checkerboard my sessions. And, after a few years of that, I said, well, I better replace all this stuff, and I replaced it all. So now I've got twice as much, or 4 times as much equipment as I really need, and after about 11 years, somebody said, Michael, you really should be you've got all the stuff stored, you should be making use of it. And so I hired a kid, and he set about renting this stuff, and all of a sudden the gear at SST, Synthesizer Systems Technologies, and SRS, which I just bought a year and a half ago, is doing very well, and we still have an office in Nashville. Even though we don't rent mandolins, we don't rent violins, we don't rent banjos, we are specifically synthesizer-centric keyboards, vintage keyboards, B3s, Wurlitzers, clavs. But again, that was an aside. The focus of my life and the focus of my work has always been writing music. Yeah. And the reason that I think I've had a successful career is because when people hire me to work on their project, I create. I come in and I create parts. I'm not playing notes that they put in front of me. I'm making things up. Yeah. And putting it against their record.
Hey, Michael, we're gonna be taking a commercial break in a few short minutes. Yeah. You know what? I told you, man. It goes quick, brother. Hey, we're gonna be coming back. You guys stay tuned. Michael is just an amazing wealth of experience and talent in this business. This is the Changing Stage radio show. My name is Florentino. We are powered by WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in internet talk. Stay tuned. SIR. And Pitbull Audio. You guys are amazing. Thanks for sponsoring us. We'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to WS Radio. Improve your business and your life with useful information from experts and thought leaders. WS Radio is radio with ROI.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goley, one thing that you've helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get to the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
In the military, things can change in an instant. At Navy Mutual Aid Association, we understand because it's our life too. That's why our dedication to serving the life insurance needs of our military veterans and their families is unrivaled. Navy Mutual offers superior life insurance protection without military service restrictions and limitations. A single focus on providing the peace of mind military families are looking for. That's what we do. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve. Call 800-628-6011 or go to NavyMutual.org.
I have some good news for a change. With the stressful times upon us, having a regular glass of wine has proved in many studies to reduce stress. Want some more stress-relieving tips? VinVillage.com is an exciting new social organization connecting wine lovers around the country with an exclusive local and online wine lifestyle experience. Vin Village members can meet others online and in person, attend wine dinners and tastings, participate in forums, blogs, and wikis, purchase limited and exclusive wines, even create your own wine. You heard me. Create your own wine. And best yet, membership is free. So reduce some of the stress and have some fun. Join now and connect with thousands of other like-minded wine lovers. To learn more, go to vinvillage.com. That's www.vinvillage.com. Vin Village is where wine lovers connect.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, vinvillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
We are into the second segment of the Changing Stage radio show, powered by WS Radio Networks, your worldwide leader in internet talk radio. And we are brought to you by Pitbull Audio, where you get all the great gear, as well as SIR if you need to rent some stuff. So we are back with Mr. Michael Lehmann Boddicker. Michael, you there?
I'm here, Tino.
It goes quick, huh, brother? Yeah, these segments.
Yeah, well, I thought we'd hang on the commercial breaks, but just listen to the commercials.
Yeah,
terrific.
It just kind of goes through that, how the system works. So, Michael, we were talking about your tremendous early history of being in the business and how you got your start, how you literally lived on crackers and sugar and milk, which is part of that, the process to create the artistic powerhouse juggernaut that you are today. You've done you've worked on some amazing projects. You've worked on the biggest albums ever. Can you give us
completely blessed?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, that I was first off at the beginning of synthesizers, and I started playing synthesizers when synthesizers weren't popular. I fell in love with the instrument back in high school.
And you were best friends with Bob Moog, right?
Well, Bob Moog was a good friend. Bob Moog used to stay at our home, and we used to talk about new technology. And when the Theremin movie came out, I was Bob's date, and he was a good friend, and I've still remained very close with Michelle, his daughter, at the Moog Foundation, and loved Bob. Bob was a terrific human being.
Yeah, I watched you had that party at your house not too long ago. I seen the video, and you had...
Yeah, we had a fundraiser, yeah. We had about 120 people for the Bob Moog Foundation and raised some money to help educate kids, show them about what... It's not just electronic music. It's like, sound waves and how this stuff all comes to be, whether a sound wave is a plucked guitar string or whether it's a sawtooth being generated in a synthesizer. Letting kids experience audio. And they've gone from, I think they had 30 kids in a class 3 years ago to over 1,000 kids in a 3-year period. It's just been explosive. It's great.
That is awesome, and to me it was such an amazing watch as you guys are doing Dreamweaver, and it's you, Jeff Baxter, Steve Porcaro. I mean, just the greats of the greats when it comes down to session stuff, and people that have been inspiring music through these years, and that I think that you're. I'm going to give a little bit of the list of. I couldn't even. We'd take more than an hour if we had to list everything, but Michael Jackson's Off the Wall and Thriller album, if I'm not mistaken.
Bad and Dangerous, and History. And
you, like I said, you've been with Quincy. You did, his solo albums as his own artist. You've written. You've been won Grammys. Going back to Imagination with Laura Branigan and Flashdance to doing The Natural, if I remember rightly, for names escape. Robert Redford.
The Natural was Randy Newman, and that was a very interesting score. Randy was insistent. We had 115 men shoved into a room that usually sat 85 men at Sony, and he was insistent, even though he had 8 French horns, that we make that that melody theme like really different. And so we had, a mini Moog with a modular 15 system modulating it, playing that melody line along with 8 French horns, and it really stands out. And you can hear in the sequence where Robert Redford hits the ball, it blows up the lights and stuff.
Yeah, remember that.
All the the arpeggiator part, and then the big French horn line, and that was a great experience. And I got to produce the record on that, the solo on that, and that was a real honor that Randy asked me to do that.
Yeah, so you've had this incredible career working with the greats of the greats, and
Lionel Richie. Don't forget Lionel Richie. He's talking about greats of the greats.
Yeah.
There's a guy who can sing "Ooh You" and just put him on an SM57, and he sounds fabulous. Great songwriter, great singer, great artist.
Yeah, and it's just, it amazes me, and you know what? You've been inspired by. We've talked about this from our passion point. The Lord kind of giving us and leading us and all this fun stuff. And you've mentioned you've been blessed many times, and I think that's a key thing, because it really comes down to character and heart and passion that drives you. Can you speak into that?
Well, I worked in the music industry in a period when drug abuse was rampant, and we've watched so many people die. And I had the blessing. I had God come into my life 30 years ago, and I was struck sober, I'll call it, even though there's a lot of work that goes behind that. But God has absolutely, and I think about this on a daily basis, where He held me in the palm of His hand, and He loved me when I was unlovable, and put me in the right places at the right time, and I've actually been able to survive all of that and kind of help people on the other side. We were able to start a program at NARIS, co-addiction counseling for record company executives.
Wow.
Saw what happened with Kurt Cobain, and the record company executive was talking about how great artists had to be heroin addicts, and I just called him on the carpet, and we started a program at NARIS where, it's not true. Great musicians can be, clear, straight, not dependent upon chemicals and drugs to help their inspiration. It's a craft. And I'm reminded, and to that end, Burt Bacharach was here at my studio again last week.
Oh, wow.
This is the second time in the last few months we've had him in, and I've worked with Burt for 30 years. But Burt, 86 years old, clear as a bell. You'd never see any chemicals or anything like that. He's clear as a bell. He's working hard. He sat here. He had a song that he played piano on and sang, and it was perfect the first time he did it. And then he sat there for 5 hours, and he perfected it further, changing a little note there, a little line there, working with the bass player to where parts were moving in parallel, now they're moving in tenths. Stuff. I mean, he's a genius, and he's a beautiful representation of the clarity of mind and how much craft and hard work goes into a successful career.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, is that people need to realize that you don't have to be a broken person to write music and to be inspired creatively. And I think my producer, Paul Barazetsky, who's here, he had a question, because you've been inspiring him to kind of think about processes.
Hey, Michael. This is actually a good segue into that. I wanted to ask you what the creative process is like for you, and how do you distill that? Is it do you kind of hear something in your head and put it onto an instrument, or do you start tinkering with the piano and kind of see what comes out?
The answer is yes. I sometimes I wake up at 4:00 in the morning and I write a poem. Sometimes I'm driving in my car and I hear a melody, and I work it. And that's where the craft is. Sometimes it's the inspiration, and sometimes it's just, okay, we have a deadline. I've been hired to do this, and we have Captive, where I wrote 8.5 minutes of the end of the score and an arrangement that then takes you through the final credits, and trying to not lock down the singer, 11 o'clock the night before the session has to take place to meet their deadline, I get a key from the singer, and it's completely different from what I had imagined. A full augmented fourth off, and none of the arrangement that I had done to that point works, and I have to revamp the entire arrangement, rewrite all the parts, recopy everything, and get it on the stand by 10 o'clock that morning, and that comes down to craft. And so you work. Parts of it take 1 hour. Parts of it take 25 years. I sit and I play at the piano. I sit and I play at the guitar. I sit in quiet and listen to what's going on in my head. I read poetry. I write poetry. I use every possible trick I can to utilize the gift that God's given me.
I think that's a good testimony, because it's all about the passion, right? Where the passion's inspired from. And we've got about 30 seconds left, Michael, till the next commercial break. Can you give us the website addresses for SRS and SST and Soul 7?
Well, Soul 7 is SOL, like the sun, Soul 7, the number 7, Post, POST.com, Soul 7 Post. And SST is SST Synths, SYNTHS.com. And Synthesizer Rental Service is all spelled out, synthesizerrentalservice.com. And SST and SRS, Synthesizer Rental Service, are all combined into one. Kind of
on the same group. Hey, like I said, it's just we should have booked like 3 hours with you, man. It would have been fun. This is the Changing Stage Radio Show. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Brought to you by Pitbull Audio and SIR, powered by WS Radio Networks. Be right back.
The Penske Automotive Group is one of the premier automotive retailers in the country, and we're proud to serve Southern California with 15 Penske Automotive dealerships. Our dealers are home to some of San Diego's best selection of new and certified pre-owned Acura, Audi, BMW, Honda, Lexus, Mazda, Mercedes-Benz, Mini, Scion, Smart, and Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Plus, we offer some of the most comprehensive parts and service departments in the automotive industry. At Penske Automotive Southern California, our commitment to customer service is second to none. We're never satisfied until you are. Located across San Diego, from Escondido to Mission Valley, no matter where you are in Southern California, a Penske Automotive dealer is never far away. We're never satisfied until you are. The Penske Automotive Group, Southern California. Go to PenskeAutomotive.com.
That reminds me, I don't know, what are you doing?
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention.
Oh, that's right.
Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get to the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical. This is your life, live it well.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
We are into the third segment of the Changing Stage radio show, powered by WS Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in internet talk radio, and powered by Pitbull Audio and SIR Music Equipment Rentals. And we are back with Mr. Michael Lehmann Boddicker. Michael, are we back on?
We're back on.
Yes, sir.
So glad to hear that this is sponsored by my friends at SIR. Ken Berry and Dolph Remp have been great friends over the last several decades. I used to rent all my equipment from them, and I still do good business with them. Really terrific people, and Michael Johnson really has a heart for excellence there. He's the reason that New York is so terrific and Nashville so terrific. And they're, you know, the wonderful thing about them is that they really raise the water. When the water raises, all the boats float higher, and they do that. SIR again, Ken Berry, Dolph Remp have been terrific friends, and they make it possible. They set the standard for people like Third Encore, Center Staging. It's Mates. There are great companies out there that are only in existence because Ken Berry started that with Jan and Dean. What is that? 35 years ago now.
35 years ago. They've been doing it for a long time. Yeah, we partner with their San Diego offices here with Jim and Will James and all those guys over there.
Awesome.
Yeah. Will has done nothing.
I will.
He's actually, I'll be seeing him later on. Not today, tomorrow. We do a lot with Will. He's just an amazing guy. He came on. He's written a book about live performing. So, you know, we're helping him out with that, kind of getting that word out for that. But
awesome. Well, thanks. So, what else are we going to talk about today, Tino?
Well, hey, that's a nice segment. That's the next thing here. We're going to be coming up to a pretty monumental trade show. Organization's been around since 1901. NAMM, National Association of Musical Merchants. We had them on the radio this last week, and we're going to be broadcasting live from there, and it's all about gear at that show, and that's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about some gear, because our listeners who are all music industry professionals or people who aspire to be in the music business, that's one of the things that kind of ignites them. You talked about that when you first seen the synthesizer, and you said, that's my piece of gear. I'm going to know that, and I'm going to live and breathe that. Well, let's start off. What was your first synthesizer?
The ARP 2600.
ARP 2600.
Yeah. I actually learned from Jerry Owen at Coe College. I learned on paper first what a modular Moog did, how to patch on paper. What the harmonic structure of the different waveforms were, what the ADSR did, and then when I could afford an ARP 2600, I bought one, and then I took Roger Powell's book and I went front to back several times through it, and I just sat there, and that's not my nature. My nature, I'm very intuitive, and if the equipment is intuitive, I'll just get in and make it work. I never read a manual, but with this, I read the manual and I studied the manual for weeks, if not, going into months, and just patched everything into everything and saw what I could do to make noises, and I learned everything. And then when I got a mini Moog from Paul Beaver, who was the guy who did Maxwell Silverhammer for the Beatles and worked with the Stones, and he was like the first great synthesizer player in the studios. And I took his Mini Moog and I learned all the patches on the Mini Moog, and then I cross-related. I took all the patches on the ARP 2600 and put them onto the Mini Moog and vice versa. And I was really in love with the opportunity to have flexibility in the sound. Yeah. That to me is the deal. Can I change the sound? Can I make it speak? Can I reach over and grab a knob and make it instantly change? Just like you'd think, I want to slide on a guitar, and you slide on the guitar. You don't have to go in and tap, 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 pre-program. Okay, now I can slide on the guitar. You feel it and you play it. Yeah. And that's what really attracted me to the early analog synthesizers. And it's kind of funny to think about this. When I was younger, I had a number of these. I had a Krumar. I had a Roland TB 303s and 606s and all these gear those sound great to this day.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was, you thought, this is not the cool stuff. Let me buy the next latest digital one. And you sell that for $50, and now you see them. Like the TB 303s are going for $3,000 now. It's just like crazy. So how some of that creativity that we kind of dismiss for sampled sounds is now the really what people are using today. What is that? What's that one piece of gear that has been that's touched your heart, like that one instrument that gives you something that you haven't gotten from any of these other pieces? Because you've had lots of them.
The modular Moog, for sure. The modular Moog. A close second would be the ARP 2600 with an Oberheim expander module. I took my Oberheim expander module and I modified it. I think Tom copied me on his latest release, where he did exactly what I did, which is I brought all the patch points out to the top of the instrument, and I hand drilled mine, and that's like on those early Michael Jackson records, those duophonic sounds and stuff. That's where I used both the ARP 2600 and the expander module. But the modular Moog, it sounds like nothing else to this day. I just did something for the Dark Knight where I used an Arturia version of the modular Moog, and it was terrific. Oh, wow. It was terrific. And the reason we had to do that was because we had to send patches back and forth via the internet. But the bottom line is the modular Moog is thicker, fatter than any other instrument ever made. It's just a terrific machine, and the flexibility, the ability to patch anything into anything is just, opens all the doors.
Physically, putting a cable in from one insert into another to change the sound is an awesome thought.
Well, I often talk about that with kids. I think that in those days when we were making those records, because we didn't have presets, because you built the sound from scratch for every song that you played on.
Yeah, and you had to keep it in tune, too. You had to adjust the tuning as you went along.
Well, yeah, but the tuning was, you had to check the tuning, but the bottom line was you changed, pulse width and pulse width modulation and vibrato and the setting. Nothing was exactly the same, and you tailored it to fit the record you worked on. And that's something that's missed with preset synthesizers, although those have their place. Yeah. It's just there's a difference between being a creator and being a librarian. Yeah. And I really love still the art of building from the bottom up a noise.
Well, and I think that's kind of key right now, because you brought up the Arturia stuff. What's your thought? We've got about 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. Your thought of, basically, the virtual stuff versus, the hard bass stuff.
Oh, are you kidding? What Eric Persing has put out with Omnisphere and his other products, and Paul DeBenedictis in marketing that has done a great job. It's changed the industry. It's just made so many high-quality noises available to so many people, and in the interface, the human interface that they put on it allows people to go in and modify things, and that's terrific. Fortunately, and unfortunately, and I'm not talking about Eric's stuff because Eric's, again, is terrific. I'm talking about a lot of preset synthesizers. They're so complex. Mm-hmm. They're so complex that if you wanted to change something, you couldn't. I'll bring an example. When the D50 first came out, it was an absolutely terrific machine. But I used to take it. It had 4 elements, and I used to take and shut off all the elements and start with one, and then modify it, and then mix it in with different synthesizers instead of using all 4 elements on that one synthesizer. Yeah. When it gets, and that way you get a personalized approach. I put me back on track, Tino. What were we talking about?
Well, basically the difference between the virtual instruments and the hard physical keyboards.
Well, again, it's a whole different day. Now everything that I used to carry, and I used to literally carry 60 synthesizers. And it would take, at the end, took 9 hours to patch things up and troubleshoot, make sure every connection was there, and we could go 5-1 out with an extra stereo pair for solo parts. And, nowadays you can do all that in a laptop. Again, I really sincerely believe that the analog gear, the Voyager, the Dave Smith, some of the Roland and Yamaha products, they sound so incredible that there's no way, that the entire processor is generating the noise, not just some of it. Like in a laptop, some of the processor is generating the noise. Yeah. And here they have specific A to D converters, D to A converters rather, that make for a significantly higher quality sound when you're using the individual analog pieces.
Hey, Michael, that's that music there's coming in to cue us for the next commercial break. Hey, folks, stay tuned. This is just so fascinating. Florentino, Buenaventura, Changing Stage Radio Show, Michael Lehmann Boddicker, powered by WS Radio Networks and brought to you by Pitbull Audio and SIR. Incredible show. You better be tuning in. Be right back.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children. After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical, this is your life, live it well.
Are your feet hurting you? I mean, really hurting you so much that you can't come to the fair and enjoy other activities with your friends? If so, you may have plantar fasciitis, a chronic inflammation of the connective tissues in the foot. I'm Holly Halsey. I'm a licensed acupuncturist, and I can help you with your pain. I invite you to visit me at my webpage, AccuSageHouseCalls.com. That's ACUSSAGE, housecalls.com. Find out what pain-free feels like.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at which.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICHWICH. Which.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
That's right. It's the fourth segment of the Changing Stage radio show, powered by WS Radio Networks and brought to you by Pitbull Audio and SIR Music Equipment Rental. And we are back with Michael Lehmann Boddicker. We've been talking about some incredible things, his history in the business. We've talked about the gear that he's been passionate about since the 70s. It's been an incredible time with that. And Michael, I wanted to touch base on some of the current projects that you have right now, because you've moved a little bit from making records per se to doing a lot of stuff in the soundtrack world.
Actually, yeah, I've moved almost entirely. I still write and I still arrange, but I produce now 5/1 and 11/1 soundtracks. So I'm very excited about that. That right now, in this stage of my life, in this season of my life, is what excites me as much as the early work that I did with the synthesizer. I kind of use the building blocks of the film to create the same way that I did with the synthesizer. I believe that all my talents come to bear, and somebody brings in film that they've worked on for 2 years. They got it all edited together, and they bring the audio essentially in a shoebox, and we take and we clean the dialogue. We add the Foley, add the sound effects, take and mix the music, if not record the music and mix the music. I prefer not to be involved in the composition part. I'll save the composition, but I don't want to, I'll bridge things on the composition, but I don't want to be that close. I want to keep my perspective. And we take that and we mix it all together, and we've been doing 5/1 projects, and DTS has been hiring us to do their mixes. We did World of Warcraft. I brokered the deal between World of Warcraft, Blizzard, and DTS, and Dave Blasucci and Rory Kaplan over there have been terrific. I've also been working with Andy Potvin over at Dolby. We're mixing in Dolby Atmos, and that, it really excites me. It excites me that I can create these environments. That's if you go back to the early Isao Tamita records, those he created an environment, and he did those in quad, and that was 1974. It was an environment. You got sucked in, and that's what we try to do with the films. Is we want to create an environment where people get sucked in and immersed in this experience. And immersive audio is very exciting for me. I've been working even with people that are kind of off the grid, like Bob Margouleff is doing like a series of different techniques to make his 5/1 and 11/1 mixes come down to where you can listen to them in stereo and still maintain that 11/1 experience. So you still get the effect of being in a surround environment, but you are actually in a stereo environment, and it's terrific. And it just excites me to no end. I want to do a little bit of a shout out when we talk about like what the sound of things. I don't know if you're aware. Have you heard Chemical Brothers' Hannah? The score to Hannah?
I've seen the movie. Yes, I have.
Oh my goodness! The best electronic work since 1975.
Wow.
It's just terrific. The Chemical Brothers, and it goes back to the fact that they're using outboard analog gear. They're controlling it with computers, but it's absolutely astounding. And you gotta love that. You gotta love it. It doesn't stay static. It's not like you reach for a sound and you hold it. It's like a real voice or a real instrument that their noises change all the time, and they slip and they slide and they expand and they contract. And it's great stuff. I'm so excited about music. I love music, and I love new immersive audio. Especially when it comes to making 11.1 and 9.1 music that collapses down to where you can listen to it on your headphones off of an iPhone and have it sound great.
And it's, it amazes me how, since we've known each other, I was just telling Paul during the break, I've known you since the late 90s, man. It just seems like yesterday, but, every time I'm with you, I feel this passion. And, obviously your life's been, commitment and focus to deliver this kind of success. It just, like I said, inspires me. One of the reasons why I'm doing this show, because, being able to get a chance to talk and get other people to share in these kind of experiences. I just remember driving around Sacramento when you came to visit and all the wonderful stories you shared with me. It inspired me. Can you share with us one of those stories in your life that really kind of, a defining moment? Obviously, the Beatles, you've seen them, the Ed Sullivan Show. I've heard that actually a number of times from a lot of players. But what's that, one moment that kind of has helped to inspire you to kind of get to that next level that you've gotten to?
Well, Quincy Jones, one of my first film scores. At that level, the first film score level, I get called at the last minute. Somebody may have gotten fired, and I'm called to replace them. But you get called, and of course, there's no money left. You're at the very end of the post-production process. And Quincy Jones pulled me aside, and he says, Michael, when it says music composed by Michael Boddicker, you don't get to put underneath that, I got 3 days and $10,000 to do the score. It's the same credit that John Williams, with $1 million budget and $1 million creative fee at that time. Now he's up over $2 million. Wow. It doesn't give that in your credit. It just says music composed by Michael Boddicker. So you've got to make it sound as great as his $2 million score on your $10,000 for 3 days. And that's, I always strive for that. It doesn't matter to me. It's not about the money. Of course we have to live, and it's a business. Business is 8 letters and music is 5. It's more about the business than it is about the music. But I love making the music as great as it possibly can be. It doesn't, I don't look at it like, okay, there's an hour. Yeah. Yes, there's a certain part of the craft where you have to go, okay, I have to deliver it on time, but I don't look at it like, oh, they only gave me this much, so I'll only do this good of a job. I make everything that anybody gives me as great as I can possibly make it. That's what I've always wanted to do, and that comes down to the, woodworker kind of craftsmanship where you just go, yeah, it's a chair, but I want that chair to just be the best chair you ever sat in.
Yeah, and I think that's been a testament to your life. Started with your family. Your mom used to tell me great stories about your family and her teaching you keyboards and inspiring you to be disciplined. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges that musicians face, is that whole focus piece. Because as creatives, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to be directors, we want to be producers, we want to be the lead singer, and it's just crazy. In
that Tino, you got to keep the core.
Yes,
and that's what I've had to learn that, because I've tried to do other things. I've tried to just be a businessman. I've tried to run businesses, but my core yes. value is creating music.
It is.
And as long as I can stay true to that core, I can do all these other things. But once I lose sight of that, then I'm going to be very unhappy, man.
Yeah, and Michael, it's definitely not enough time, and we've got about 30 seconds left. If you want to share one thing to the people who are listening, what would that be in 30 seconds?
If you're going to the NAMM show, to me, it's not just about the gear, it's about the relationships. Watching people manufacture, watching people in their creative process, watching great technology, and then watching that simple idea of somebody with a piece of wire down in Hall E make something that you never thought of by an instrument that's being played for over 3,000 years. It's so exciting. I just love it.
Awesome. Well, we're going to hang out at NAMM, right? We're going to be, I'll be getting in touch with you. We'll get that breakfast. This has been Michael Boddicker on the Changing Stage radio show. Michael, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity, Tino. I love you, man. It's great to be part of your show.
We'll be talking soon. Stay tuned. We've got another segment with Nick West.
Progressive Medical.
Hey, this is Heidi Rue, and Progressive Medical Center has literally changed my life and my health, but I'm not the only one. Adele suffered from bone deterioration, bone overgrowth, profound muscle discomfort, physical exhaustion, and mental fog. In fact, the bone deterioration becomes so serious that she had to have back surgery. Well, after the surgery, she still didn't feel well, and so that's when she heard about Progressive Medical Center. Progressive Medical Center discovered that her adrenals weren't working properly, her hormones were out of whack, and the drugs she had been taking were doing more harm than good. Adele came into Progressive Medical Center in a walker, physically and mentally exhausted. But now she's a world traveler. She hikes and walks several miles a day, and it's all thanks to Progressive Medical Center. 770-676-6000. 770-676-6000.
Progressive Medical. This is your life. Live it well.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Hey, do you want a great price on a new or used car? Hi, this is professional racing driver Don Swanson, and I know a thing or two about cars. I'm talking about Military Auto Center, San Diego's original and only automotive warehouse, where low overhead means low prices on your next vehicle. Stop by and experience a friendly and casual way to discuss your car needs. They're located conveniently at 9323 Activity Road. You can call them at 858-831-7887 or online at militaryautocenter.com. We'll see you there.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.